Are you kidding me? So here I am talking about Outriders again, and while this was supposed to be a review, I can't review the game because I can't even play the game. I can't even log in because the fucking Squeenix servers are down like every 10 minutes. Like the day after launch, I disconnected 4 times. And then this morning I disconnected again. So I just said, fuck it, this is a rant video now. This is a perfect example of why always online does not work. Sure, if you have an MMO and you have a shit ton of servers, they've been reliable a long time, you paid good money for that, then sure, fine. But when these fucking companies, Ubisoft is famous for this shit, where they pay half-ass for servers. But Squeenix is even worse, apparently, because you can't even connect to the fucking game. You lose connection in the middle of the game and lose progress. This is just unplayable, dude. I wasn't even playing with people. I was playing by myself and I couldn't even play the game. Are you kidding me? And this is on top of general performance issues. Worse than the demo, in fact. I had to lower the settings down to medium and low, which for this game doesn't look that good. It barely ran at 60 when I lowered it down to those settings. I've also got multiple crashes. Every time I disconnected, I actually couldn't log back in. That's a pretty important little detail. So they were completely down. This was not like a connection issue where I briefly lost connection. No, they were down. Every time you load up the game for the first time, the HUD doesn't appear, and you have to return to lobby and load back in to get the HUD back. How the hell did they miss that one? Was there any QA for this game? They had to disable crossplay with consoles because it didn't work with PC. Yet another thing they didn't test. And there's a host of other problems. One of the main ones being that they didn't think out the co-op at all. If you're not playing with friends, which, yeah, I mean, good luck convincing friends to pay $60 for this. I know my friends didn't get it. Fucking traitors. But yeah, I can't blame them. But to actually play with strangers, you have to be at the same point in the story to matchmake with them. And guess what? Because I played the demo and then played like 5 hours on launch day, there was nobody else as far as me. I couldn't find anybody when I tried to matchmake, because it has to be the exact story point. Every mission is a different story point. They didn't think this through at all, man. It doesn't make any sense. This was just a way to try and force your friends to all buy the game. And it's only 3-player, so it's not like you can even play with all your buddies if you have a big group of people. The weird thing about this game is that I thought that it was supposed to be like a Destiny clone, right? But honestly, it's more close to something in between Borderlands and Destiny. There's very little actual, like, online MMO type of experience here. Unless the post-game adds, like, a public space where everyone can hang out. This is really much more close to Borderlands, where you're just kind of, you know, playing a co-op single-player game, right? Which, honestly, if the game leaned more towards that, it would probably be a better game, but the fact that it's always online completely ruins that. And honestly, the game just feels designed around co-op. Playing it solo doesn't feel right, because I don't think they adjust the enemy spawns for co-op, and I don't think they adjust the difficulty either, because I think the world tier system is entirely how they adjust the difficulty, which the problem with that is that you can build world tier system hypothetically all the way in single player, but it would be borderline impossible, right? I would say world tier 6 is when it starts becoming extremely difficult. I say that because that's the tier I've been stuck on for the last 10 hours, because every time you make some progress, if you die, you lose a shit ton. So I haven't been able to make it to tier 7. And because I can't even play with other people in co-op, I don't know if I'll ever make it past 7 if I even get to it. But yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to review this game at all, especially if I can't finish it, since I can't play it. So, well, not that many of you guys care anyway. I know none of you were excited for this, my audience anyway. But, of course, I'm trying to get some algorithmic attention. I'll give some impressions, and then I guess it's probably just time to move on. I might just play some more of it in my free time, but this game is not worth your money right now. That's the short version of this review. Just never pre-order a game, ever. South Park called this out years ago.
When you pre-order a game, you're just committing to paying for something that some assholes in California haven't even finished working on yet. You know what you get for pre-ordering a game? A big dick in your mouth.
And people still haven't learned. They still pre-order. So, if the game had no bugs and I could play it and it ran perfectly and blah blah blah, how good is it? It's okay. It's really not that good. It's definitely not a Destiny killer. I don't think it's even good Borderlands competition, especially being always online definitely hurts it. And as a solo experience specifically, it feels worse because the character classes feel like they're supposed to sort of balance each other out. Maybe if I played the Pyromancer, I forget what it's actually called, I might have had a better time solo. But playing as the tank without any support or DPS kinda just doesn't feel right. The whole gimmick behind this game is that the cover is for your enemies, right? Which I don't think that's really all that true. It is on lower difficulties, of course. But as it becomes more difficult, even the tankiest character becomes made of glass, as I learned. Whenever any of my tank abilities weren't active, I died in about 3 hits at World Tier 6. Well, not really 3 hits, but you get what I mean. I died in like, 4 seconds exposed to fire, I guess we'll say. And bosses could literally kill me in a couple hits. So yeah, this is kind of just your typical third-person shooter. The guns feel pretty okay. Obviously, epic guns have some pretty cool perks that are a little bit more fun, like gaining health on kills, or giving the enemy some damage over time effect, or bullets ricocheting off of enemies, stuff like that that cause explosions. I did get a hold of one legendary weapon, which was actually right before I started getting all these disconnects, so I didn't get to use it that much, but it was pretty fun. And yeah, the superpowers are fun when you can use them. The problem is that you only can have 3 active skills at a time out of, I don't know, like 8 or however many they give you. And so you've only got these 3 cooldowns to worry about, and while each is fairly powerful, it just feels like you should be able to do more. Especially, I guess, as a tank, 2 of my abilities were dedicated to just protecting myself. I only had 1 cool attack ability equipped most of the time. And yeah, some of them are cool, like covering yourself in rock and just running through and then slamming enemies. Makes you feel like the Juggernaut, More aptly the Thing, I guess. I could like create little earthquakes, I could suck enemies in and steal their health. But it really wasn't anything that impressive, And guns just feel okay. I mean, it's not bad. It's not really that good. It's third-person shooting, I don't think there's a single third-person shooter that really has better gunplay than a good FPS, And so the movement and the abilities are supposed to make up for that, which it kinda does, sorta. And yeah, level design's terrible. A bunch of hallways with small little arenas. Gee, what game does that sound like that I've reviewed recently that everybody was mad about? But it's worse here than that game, which shall not be named. Though honestly, probably the most annoying thing of the game, and this is in almost every one of these looter shooters now, of course, are bullet sponges. And yes, obviously, in any one of these games, any shooter with RPG mechanics is going to have bullet sponges. But it just gets ridiculous after a certain point, especially if the AI is programmed to rush you when they know that they have 1,000,000 health. So there was this side quest that was in this cave, right? And like most other areas in the game, the cave is just a straight line with not a whole lot of maneuverability. And when you get to the boss arena, it's a narrow little pathway into the new arena, right? And on World Tier 6, you can't really afford to stand out in the open unless you have, some kind of protection ability active, like I had them, right? But this bitch, she rushes straight for you. She spams like these spinning laser things behind you or around you, right? That pretty much kill you instantly if you're standing next to them. She has like 1,000,000 fucking health. I mean, seriously, it probably takes like 30 to 40 shotgun shots to kill her. Or with the pump action shotgun, I should say. I think I also had a sniper of some kind, so I basically headshotted her like 5 times as she ran up to me. Didn't even flinch her. She spammed her superpower bullshit and like enchanted her bullets, which is something I wish I could do. Maybe one of the other classes can, but I would definitely like to just be able to buff my bullets on the fly. That would be nice. And there's nowhere to run. Like, if she blasts you in close range, you're dead, dude. There's nothing you can do, really. And so I tried over and over again. Like I said, if you die, you lose progress toward the next world tier. So I think I lost half of my progress just trying this over and over again, all these other different ways. And it's just ridiculous. It looks so stupid because she just rushes up to you, then you have to run away. Even as a tank, I couldn't absorb her bullshit. It was just so fucking stupid. And most of the mini boss encounters are basically like this. The actual boss encounters aren't, so I'll give them some credit for that, the ones in the story. But every side mission boss is just a huge bullet sponge with very basic AI, which is why the sniper ones are actually the easiest ones to kill, because they don't rush you. But every other one is just a fucking pain in the ass. Some of them can even heal themselves. Recently I fought a shotgun guy who healed himself and his minigun buddy over and over again. It took me like 5 straight minutes to kill both of them. It's just not fun, man. And a slight update, I finally made it to tier 7, and like I thought, it's basically impossible in solo. Maybe with crazy end game equipment or something and replaying shit, but I don't care about that at all. Might as well just disable anything past tier 6 for single player if you're gonna make it this ridiculous. I don't know, it's hard to say if I would have had more fun if I played, you know, an offensive class versus a defensive class. I might try out the Pyromancer, but again, I don't think I'm gonna do a review after this. So, does it matter? Not really. The game is so broken right now. Like, why would you spend $60 on this? I'm just not sure really what they were thinking. If they were trying to go for a Borderlands, they failed horribly. If they're trying to go for a Destiny, they kind of failed, but I suppose they could maybe make up for it in the future. This is the type of game, it feels just like the Avengers game, another game published by Square Enix, where it feels like they made half a game and they're funding the other half from people buying the game, you know? But you have to make a fun enough game in the first place. And while this game's probably better than the Avengers game, I wouldn't say by a lot. You could play 10 other third-person shooters and get most of the same experience, you know? Especially since I just reviewed a superhero game that's a real superhero game with cool superpowers. You know, I'd much rather play Prototype than this, even though they're not that comparable. I suppose Infamous is more comparable because that pretty much is a third-person shooter but with superpowers, and Infamous is much better than this. I don't know, I just don't really feel like reviewing the rest. Don't buy the game. It doesn't matter. Like, the story sucks too. They just kill characters out of nowhere. You see them like twice. They killed like one of the major like hero superpowered characters who was kind of a dick, but you only talk to him twice and then he just dies off screen. So who cares if there's more story focus if the story focus sucks? So yeah, don't buy the game. That's my review. Don't fucking buy it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. You know, obviously this was just kind of slapped together pretty quickly because there's no point in attempting to review it if I can't even play it. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to review Binding of Isaac either though, because that expansion is pissing me off. They made it a lot harder for no reason, and not in a good way. Because the problem is, I don't want to be known as the guy who's like, oh, too hard, like a game journalist. But I am the guy who's going to look at bad, harder difficulty settings, right? And I used to play Binding of Isaac on hard all the time, and I guess they decided it wasn't hard enough, which honestly, they're probably right. There wasn't that much of a difference between normal and hard mode. But now they made hard way harder, like ridiculously harder, and it's like, Look, if Binding of Isaac was a more skill-based game, which it's not, don't let anybody tell you otherwise, it is very much a luck-based game, then I would be fine with it. But no, because there's so many terrible items in the item pool. Probably almost half the items in the game are not even good in any way. Like, they might make you slightly stronger situationally. There's no reason to make the game harder until you make it more fair. Take out like 30 to 40 of the shitty items, at least. Then you can make the game harder. Because at this point, it just feels like fake difficulty because you never get any stronger. And the enemies just keep getting harder until you don't stand a chance. But yeah, I'm not here to review that, but I'm not going to review it, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I'll probably just go straight into Resident Evil 5, I think, or Ratchet and Clank. I haven't decided yet. Kind of bummed out at the moment. So yeah, I'll see you next time.